Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday evening. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. Thanks for popping by. Titans, they got a not great report in the NFLPA's evaluation of each NFL franchise. They do this on an annual basis. They determine the NFLPA survey. It's the second time that they've done this. And it reveals that the Titans and people who are voting on the Titans situations are kind of unhappy about a couple of different things, in particular treatment of families and travel. So we're going to get into that here in just a second over the course of this and how much credence to give it. Thought, for example, PK did a really good job fleshing some of this out. He talked to some players about this in particular, so we'll be able to give you a better evaluation. We'll get to the groundbreaking. Titans brass aren't here because they have a stadium groundbreaking tomorrow. They are going to virtually interview offensive linemen, which would seem to not be a great idea, given that the last time that this team virtually scouted offensive linemen, and I know there's a different level of scouting that's involved this year than there was in the COVID draft, but can't help but bring up Isaiah Wilson anytime you talk about virtually interviewing prospects, even though virtual interviews are quite common now. We will get into that, rising and falling. We got a lot of good things to discuss over the course of this show. Major Key says, sound like Woodyard was right about the family thing. Okay, the team that Wes was on was a much different team. And it's not like I'm trying to take anything away from Wesley Woodyard. Wesley Woodyard was in that locker room. Wesley Woodyard has far more knowledge of the situation than I. But it's a much different team than Wood was on. I think his last season was the 2019 season, if I don't recall. Or if I recall correctly. So how much credence to put into that from a player who was last on the roster 5 years ago, you can debate if you want. But I don't think we'll talk about it. We'll work through those things together over the course of this evening. Let's go ahead and get it started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time, not from the Zen Sports Studios, but from Indianapolis, where we are here for the Scouting Combine. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by TrueMath Fitness in the Gulch. Go to TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. As a Middle Tennessee resident, no workout ever recycled or repeated, only the best for you at TrueMath Fitness. And Zen Sports, same game parlays, no danger, first wagers, and so many other great offers for you to get involved with in the Zen Sports app. Download the app and get in on the action today. ZenSports.com for more information. So the Titans were one of 5 organizations to not receive an A in any department of the NFLPA's second annual team survey. This is the second year in a row that they have been given an F for team travel accommodations, and they graded the team's treatment of families as a D+ a year after it was a B-. So how drastically did it change? There's a couple of different things to look at here. So among the teams that were one, including the Titans, one of 5 included in this that did not get an A in any category. It was the Titans, the Chargers, the Browns, the Patriots, and the Jets. So that's the same kind of discussion that we're having right now. Those are the 5 teams that failed to receive an A in any letter grade. What you have here is a situation where the Titans, where the Titans players raised 2 issues and this is a big part of this. The Titans players raised 2 issues that stand out from the survey and require improvement. The first is the club's travel accommodations, as players are designated to sit in the back of the plane where many players don't fit in the seats while the staff sits in first class. Also, the Titans are one of only 7 teams that make some of their players have roommates the night before the games. Players want to be able to prepare for the game without having to share a room. The second issue that was raised most often by respondents is the field surface at the stadium. Before the 2023 season, the team decided to switch from a natural grass surface to synthetic, consistent with how players responded across the NFL on the question of field surfaces, saying they prefer natural grass to synthetic. Titans players responded with disappointment that they moved from grass to artificial surface. So that's a lot of different stuff there. And in total, to go through, the Titans in total received a D+ for their accommodations. Treatment of family, a D plus. Cafeteria, B. Nutritionist, B. Locker room, C plus. Training room, C plus. Training staff, B. Weight room, B plus. Strength coaches, B plus. Team travel, F. Head coach, B plus. Ownership, B plus. So that was the total NFLPA report card. So of the things that you hear when you hear the Titans described that way, what is it? Are the Titans a B plus organization is the question on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It's your Two Rivers Ford take. As always, it's presented by Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. Derek says, sounds like his high school report card. Dylan Cole says, who's doing the grading exactly? So the way that this is determined, and I'll read directly from the NFLPA's site here on this, they're 18th out of the 32 teams. This is a second annual survey that they've conducted, as I mentioned. The goals are to highlight positive clubs, identify areas that can use improvement, and highlight best practices and standards. This is courtesy of J.C. Treader. 1,706 of our players provided information to share with one another about their current club. So basically, the players who played for the club last year are the ones who did the voting on this. Our hotels downtown need rebuilding, says Chris Fraser. Chris, I don't know if you've seen downtown lately. You must not have. All they do is build new hotels, so it's not like there's team hotels that need or a hotel in downtown Nashville. I don't know why that would have any level of impact whatsoever on that discussion. Why was team travel an F? What does that mean or consist of? Well, John, I just read it, but I'll read it again for you just to reiterate, because again, this is on the NFLPA's official website. The NFL player team report cards for 2024. So the highest graded team, for example, let me see. I don't see anybody with an A plus. I see 3 A minuses. The Niners, the Dolphins, and the Dallas Cowboys are all the teams that received an A plus. Teams that got an A, the Minnesota Vikings, and I believe that is the only team that got just an A. No team received an A plus, and the Titans were a D plus organization according to the players who played for them last year. For the travel portion, the Titans finished the season ranked 18th among NFL clubs. Titans don't excel in any areas of the survey as they sit around league average in nearly every category. Titans players raised 2 issues that stand out from the survey and require improvement. The first is the club's travel accommodations, as players are designated to sit in the back of the plane, where many players don't fit in the seats, while the staff sits in first class. Also, the Titans are one of only 7 teams that require some of their players have roommates the night before games. Players want to prepare for a game without having to share a room. So Eric Davis says, so we need a new jet. I mean, I don't know, maybe just put the players in first class and put the staff in steerage, the way that would typically go. The players are the more valuable commodities. I don't think that's that hard of a switch. Caleb Gray says, did Tart vote for Titans or Texans? He wasn't happy here, so he could have brought the scores down. Sure, but there was plenty of players who weren't happy with a lot of different organizations. And T.R. Tart was here for the vast majority of the year. His vote should count for the Titans and the Texans. Square Up says, is the stadium event tomorrow open to the public? No, it is not. That is something they're going to live stream, apparently. That is not something that's open to the public. John Doe says, so basically we're being cheap. That's a real shocker. Kaharski went about talking to somebody about the travel concerns in particular. Other teams go so far. So let's see the travel. The only game the Titans were in first class seats was the trip to London, and this player thinks that is league mandated. As for travel, the lack of first class seating for starting players and coaches who need it is an issue. Players are familiar with superior setups for teams like Miami, Baltimore, and San Francisco, while the Titans jam big players and other worn out starters into economy seats. Yeah. Put the players in first class. Not that hard. How do those accommodations compare to other teams, says B Bird? Well, just for like I said, I don't want to just keep reading numbers over and over and over again, but team travel for an F for the Titans. I'll see if I can get in particular. So let's see. The Washington Commanders got an F minus, and this is obviously as they're changing ownership groups, and their last 32 out of 32. They also received a team travel F. Let's see. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers received an F as an organization. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel accommodations also an F. So there's a couple of teams on there who you're similar to. And Amar says it's all Vrabel's fault. Well, I don't think that Vrabel's necessarily demanding to sit in first class. I think that that's probably set up that way because you know who else travels on team jet? The ownership. So that's not excluding the ownership situation. Chiefs grades were awful. They were last in a lot. Yeah, let's just take a look since the Chiefs won the championship, and we'll see how much, if this impacts your feel about this at all. While I pull up the Chiefs grades, easy for me to say. I'll remind you guys that the Primetime program is presented by True Math Fitness in the Gulch. Go to truemathfitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. And while I do that, of course, you can hear from Amy Adams Strunk, who says that she's going to hold her organization to a higher standard.
The last 2 seasons have been very disappointing. And the fans felt it. I felt it. We made changes last year, and I came to believe we needed to make a change to the coaching staff.
People want to know, when did you come to this decision?
It wasn't a last night or a month ago or whenever. It's just kind of been all season watching, and it was difficult, but I thought it was time to make that change.
There's been discussion in a lot of different circles about the possibility of trading the head coach. Was consideration given to trading Mike Vrabel?
Well, yes, there was, but there's a bit of misconception about a coach's contract, say, versus a player's contract. A coach's contract, you can't trade them unless they're a willing partner to that trade. So, yes, we thought about it, but at the end of the day, with league rules the way they are, it would have maybe put us back 3 weeks. And, honestly, to get the right head coach, I was just not willing to go to the back of the line and take a chance of missing out on someone we really wanted.
All right, so I'm going to put 2 questions together.
Okay, so Amy basically talking about the standard that she's holding the organization to. So the Chiefs graded out poorly in a lot of different categories: an F in dietitian and nutritionist, locker room, training staff, and ownership F-, which is pretty interesting to see. But according to the NFLPA report card, 2024, 31st of 32 teams, the 32nd being Washington. So you can take that for what it's worth. Chiefs players were not happy with the organization and won a championship, so that is what it is. David Brown says Paul had a great breakdown of the complaints. It sounded like a few players were disgruntled. Yeah, I read it. I think it's good context, but also, I'm sure that they could stand to improve. And if you put the players in the more valuable commodities, I don't give a shit about offensive coordinators and assistant offensive line coaches and how they travel. I care that the players are comfortable, that the players are put in a position to recover properly if I'm a fan of the team, because the players are the more valuable of the two. All right, so let's talk about the groundbreaking, because none of the Titans brass is up here because they're going to be at the groundbreaking tomorrow. Is that fair or foul that the stadium groundbreaking is happening during Combine Week? Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, we'll talk about it together right after I remind you that the Primetime program is presented by Zen Sports. Up to $1,000 on your no-danger first wager and same-game parlays on the NHL and the NBA for you to get in on the action. Use the promo code ATOZTN and get up to $1,000 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 and up and in the state of Tennessee to bet. So fair or foul? How do you feel about Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan not being at the Combine because of the stadium groundbreaking? Feels like a foul, says Dylan Cole. Amar says fair. That's Burke Nihill's job. So it's fair that that the groundbreaking is happening during the Combine, because that's Burke Nihil. I don't understand the explanation. Square Up says, whose genius idea was to make it during the Combine. Amy is thinking about her own money rather than the team. Corey D. Jackson says fair. Nothing to see here. Ken Caniff agrees. Fair. I think they'd rather be at pro days to get a better look at potential picks. I think that it's tough for me to give them a fair on this. Honestly, I think that's pretty stupid. They are going to virtually interview offensive linemen, and I'm not here to traffic in things from the COVID draft that are not applicable to this. But I can't help but think when you have 4 opportunities in total in an offseason to get in front of these people, to meet them in person, to understand more about their personality. I'm not saying it's a perfect process to do it in person versus virtually, because a lot of this stuff is done virtually now anyway, and it makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot more streamlined of a process. I just think that this is a thing that could have been done literally any other week of the year other than Combine Week, to not have to take these 2 away. If it was because they were going to be more diligent or be more productive at the home office, which is entirely possible. In fact, it's probable that they would be more productive working from St. Thomas Sports Park than they would up here at Indy. Indy's a shit show. Indy is a lot of drinking, a lot of steakhouses, a lot of information, a lot of stuff moving. And the scouting really, the combine drills really don't begin until the weekend at this point. Thursday in earnest is when this stuff is going to start. For the most part, the early part of the week is just media driven events, and the coaches are done by Monday and Tuesday. But I think that it's pretty crazy that they can't just figure out another week to do it within a month timeline. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference if they're actually ready to go on the construction of this thing, to pull the head coach and the general manager away from the most important scouting part, or the most important part of the weekend for them, which is the offensive lineman interviews and the offensive lineman workouts. Jonathan Earl says, I don't think McVay has been to one in 9 years. Okay, but Sean McVay won a Super Bowl. Who the bleep are these guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, Sean McVay earned it. Sean McVay is a successful head coach. Sean is somebody who has been at the top of his profession. He's been a bit of a trailblazer, given how young he was able to accomplish a lot of this stuff. Brian Callahan is not Sean McVay. Rand Carthon is not Les Snead. They've won nothing. Rand Carthon has been a part of one 6-11 Titans campaign, and may be adept at this and may be able to do this better than John Robinson did. I'm not disputing that at all. I have no idea, but don't give me Sean McVay and then try to compare these individuals to him when they have accomplished exactly none of the things that Sean McVay has accomplished in his NFL career. With all that information you've provided, is it still that important? No, I don't. Listen, I don't think it's the end of the world, but I do think it's stupid. Like, I just think it's just generally something that you could avoid. I don't think it's something that you should have to think about at all. I think it should be separated, that they should know that Combine Week is going on, that Combine Week is something that deserves at least a larger degree of attention that they're paying to it. And it all could have been avoided if they just scheduled it literally on any other week, right? That's why I think this thing is stupid. So I'm foul. We are going to wrap up with a rising and falling here in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Whose stock rose, whose stock fell this week in sports? I will tell you that the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage makes the primetime program possible. GaryAshton.com for your dream address without the stress. The person whose stock rose the most this week, really hasn't been determined yet, ironically enough, because the drills haven't even started. But I'm curious to know if you think this is a stock up or stock down moment for Treylon Burks when Rand Carthon was talking about him earlier this week.
The injury thing, the concussion thing was a real deal. You know what I mean? I think we all saw that from the Pittsburgh game. And so those are the type of things you can't really prevent. But I do know that Treylon is off this offseason training with D-Hop and some other pros around the league, which I think would be good for him to see how other pros prepare and get ready for the season so he can add that to his game. I've seen a couple clips of him running routes and doing stuff on, in the offseason. And for him, it's an offseason where he's not trying to get healthy. He can work on perfecting his craft as opposed to trying to get back to get healthy.
So that's Rand Carthon. I don't know if it's a stock up or stock down. It's just an interesting note that they continue to train together. And, all of Treylon Burks' training last year looked great in training camp until it didn't matter for anything because he kept getting hurt and couldn't stay on the field. So hopefully Treylon Burks continues to improve. I know Titans fans would love to see him in a stock up type of situation. But right now that guy has so much uphill climbing to do as it relates to, even remotely delivering on the draft capital that they invested in him. The former first-round pick has done, he's amounted for less than 600 yards receiving and 1 touchdown in 2 seasons as a pro. It's completely unacceptable. And so trading with DeAndre Hopkins certainly won't hurt him. the only thing that seems to hurt Traylon Burks is playing football. And I don't say that tongue in cheek. It's some guys this happens to. It's an unfortunate part of the sport. But for Traylon, you hope for the best. You don't have any expectations for him, and we'll see how it goes. All right, it's going to do it for us on the Primetime Show. One more tomorrow from Indianapolis, one more radio show tomorrow from Indy. Been a lot of fun up here in Indy and a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff gleaned. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on 104.5 The Zone, so come hang out with us there, and I will see you guys, if not, tomorrow night on the Primetime program.